Hi everyone, my name is Andi Pateña-Matheu. Join me as we learn and unlearn things and make new discoveries. This is AnDiscoveries. Today's guest, mga kauban, is a man who has literally talked his way into world history. He's no other than the 2019 World Champion of Public Speaking. Let's all welcome to the show, Mr. Aaron Beverly. Hi, Aaron, and welcome
Hello.
to my TV Cebu studio.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
What brings you here to Cebu?
I am here for the Toastmasters conference for District 75. And it is going to be a good time. We're going to talk about public speaking. We're going to talk about leadership and just how you can improve yourself through what Toastmasters can provide.
Wow. Before we talk about the event details, can you share with us how you started as a public speaker? Have you always been a storyteller as a child, or is this a skill that you've learned growing up?
It was absolutely by necessity. I did not want to be a public speaker. I did not want
Really?
to do anything with public speaking at all. I wanted to just stay in the background, be silent. But when I went to college, I graduated during the Great Recession. All of the job opportunities that I thought I would have were gone. I had to find a way to stand out, and for me, public speaking was one of those ways. Warren Buffett, one of the richest people in the world, said that public speaking is the #1 skill that you could have. So I decided to join this club called Toastmasters.
Right.
I thought it was a drinking club. But I learned that it would help me improve my public speaking skills. And I decided to join in 2009, and I haven't looked back since.
So this is you saying that it's perfectly okay to start learning how to speak in front of an audience,
Absolutely.
even later on in life.
Absolutely.
So you were that student who was always shy and sulking in the background.
Yep, that was me, the introvert.
Really, really.
Yep.
So how was the experience like during your first participation in Toastmasters? Did you feel like anxious seeing all
yeah.
these brilliant speakers in the room?
I was absolutely terrified to give my first speech. I remember I practiced my first speech in Toastmasters. We call it the icebreaker speech, where
Okay.
you break the ice, you speak for the first time to a Toastmasters audience. The speech time limit for that is only supposed to be 5 to 7 minutes, or 5 minutes. I practiced my speech 24 hours straight because I was so terrified that I would forget something that I didn't want to forget.
Okay.
But I practiced that speech and it was pretty good.
Do you still remember what it was all about?
A little bit about Aaron Beverly and his dreams.
Really?
It was not a very good title. I improved that over time.
But would you say that your upbringing or your culture played a huge role in the way you communicate up to now?
I definitely would say so. Even though I was a person who didn't like public speaking, I didn't like being in the forefront, I didn't like being in the spotlight. My mother was one of those mothers that forced me into the spotlight. She wanted me to be up front. So I always found myself in public speaking situations, even though I did not want to be in them.
So how long did it take for you, Aaron, to be that speaker who was very nervous into that speaker who was more confident? And if you could also bring us back to that time when you could recall that speech where you really saw that the audience actually really listened.
Wow. For me, I remember my first speech where I have all of that anxiety. I have the butterflies in my stomach, my heart is racing, my hands are shaking. I give the speech, and that was the one that I had practiced for 24 hours straight. I remember finishing that speech, and the master of ceremonies of the day, or the Toastmaster of the day, he got up, he looked at the audience, and he said, "There is a future world champion of public speaking." My first speech.
Really?
Those 24 hours of practice really paid off. But it wasn't until years later when I started to compete in the international speech contest where I really started to notice people paying attention to what I had to say. And for those who don't know, the International Speech Contest is a contest that Toastmasters holds every year. 20,000 people, about 20,000 people will compete in that every single year. And they crown the world champion of public speaking every single year. I started competing in that in 2012. And for 8 years straight, I competed. And it was about 2016 where I noticed that change.
Really?
I noticed people starting to really pay attention to what I was saying.
Yeah.
And it was because I was being a little bit more relatable. I was telling them about my challenges and how I overcame them. And also adding a little bit of humor to make it funny, to keep people entertained.
I curl over in my seat, I press the shoes against my chest, and this is how I watch the wedding for the next 30 minutes.
And that's when people started to say, okay, he's special.
Before we dive into the other specific tips that you'd like to share with our viewers to be a more effective public speaker, if I may also share, I do host events, and people always ask me, in Cebuano, they ask me, makulbaan pa ba ka? In English, that means, do I still get nervous or do I still experience stage fright? So I'm also asking you that question. Despite the number of years that you've had in terms of experience as a public speaker, do you still get nervous?
Absolutely. And it comes and goes. Today, right now, talking to you, I feel good. I don't feel nervous. I feel at ease. So
I feel nervous.
Well, you make me feel at ease, so I'm glad, but I'm sorry I make you feel nervous.
No, I'm joking.
It depends on the situation. I have gotten to a point where I can speak in front of a large crowd and not be as nervous, but you put me in front of a room with a group of high-level business people.
Right.
Now I start feeling that the heart palpitations again, my hands start shaking again, the butterflies come back. It depends on the situation.
True. If it's a more intimate audience.
Exactly.
Especially when you see the faces up close.
Yes.
Yeah. That's more of a tense situation for you.
Yes, absolutely.
Same here.
And high-profile people as well.
Right.
It makes me a little bit nervous because I feel like I have to be really good so that I can impress them.
All right, so mga kauban, when we return, let's learn from the champion himself. How do you really become an effective public speaker? Please don't go away. AnDiscoveries will be right back. Welcome back mga kauban to AnDiscoveries on MyTV Cebu, and we are still with 2019 World Champion of Public Speaking, Mr. Aaron Beverly. Sir Aaron, if you could share with our viewers, what's that one common or usual mistake that people do when giving a speech, and how do you overcome that?
A lot of people have this thought that they need to talk about how they are the hero. It's all about them. The world wants to hear how great they are. And I try to teach people that people don't care about how great you are. People don't care how good your life is. What they care about are the challenges that you went through. They want to know, how did you overcome? How did you struggle? And how did you persevere? When you tell people a story about a challenge that you have overcome, that's when you start to become more relatable. You start to feel like, oh, he's one of us or she's one of us.
Right, right.
And when you have that connection, that's what really establishes you as an effective speaker, because the audience is on your side, and you always want the audience to be on your side. They can't be on your side if you present yourself being so superior to them.
So you as a speaker, you can also feel if you've already established that emotional connection with your audience, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's go back to your winning speech. Why did you choose that topic to talk about?
My speech in 2019 was about a wedding that I went to in India.
Yes, I watched it.
It was the first time I had been in India. I was there for a friend's wedding who I met through Toastmasters. I went over there and I was a part of this ceremony that is typical in Indian tradition, where the people on the groom's side, they have to protect the groom's shoes from the bride's side.
And this is a real, real tradition, right?
It's a real tradition. And I was told to hold on to the shoes and do not give the shoes to the bridesmaids.
Yeah.
And I had a mission, and I took it very seriously.
I am now scared for my life at this wedding. However, I must protect the shoes because when I have a mission, I take it very seriously. So
I sat in front of the wedding ceremony and I'm holding on to these shoes for dear life. And the bridesmaids, they're trying to come over, they're trying to coax me to give up the shoes.
Yeah.
And it ended up devolving into a wrestling match in front of the entire ceremony.
8 versus 1. They pull, I pull, but I hold firm because when I have a mission, I take it very seriously. They said, Aaron, just give us the shoes. I said, never!
And I just thought, wow, this is a very funny story about a guy who really didn't understand this tradition. He didn't understand that the bridesmaids were supposed to win.
Yeah.
So it was laughter at my expense, but it also was just a story about sharing a culture.
Right.
The purpose behind that speech, or the purpose behind the game in the speech, was to bring the families closer together. And I realized how impactful that was, because that meant that I was considered part of the family. Now, I probably didn't have to have a wrestling match in front of the entire wedding ceremony to do that, but I just thought that that was such a great message. And I really wanted to stress about unity, which is something that I feel that we continue to need.
But what would you say to people who, for them, don't have that interesting Indian wedding story such as yours? Like, what if they tell you, what if I don't have a story worth telling? How do I become an engaging speaker?
A lot of people think that you have to have those truly interesting stories, but the funny thing is, a lot of people who are from India, they come up to me and say, Aaron, I can't believe you gave a speech about this ceremony, because we always experience that. That's very common for us. It's an everyday event. I couldn't imagine making a speech like that. It's really finding the extraordinary within the ordinary. So those everyday events, the things that you may take for granted, those are the things that actually become relatable, because everybody, or a lot of people, will experience that. And if you can craft that around a universal theme or a message that people can understand, that's when you really gain that, what's called an aha moment. It's, wow, okay, this small thing that I do every day actually becomes a little bit more meaningful because of the story that I heard.
But do you think that the gift of public speaking can be learned by everyone?
I absolutely do.
Really?
Yes.
And would you advise, like, for example, for the parents who are watching this, would you advise the parents to start exposing their children early on? Although, as your life story
Yes.
also proves that it's never too late to start. But would it be more advisable if they start practicing earlier?
I do believe so. I think that children, I apologize in advance. I want your parents to force you to speak in public, because it's going to be so beneficial for you. And parents, implore your children to speak. Implore them to get active and start their public speaking skill enhancement, because it's really going to take their lives. It's going to take their lives far and beyond what you could even imagine. And I speak from experience.
Before we expound on that, and before the break, Aaron, is there like a speaker superstition that you believe in? Like, do you go on stage with your like lucky handkerchief or lucky pen? Or some performers, they insert something in their sock. Do you have that?
I don't have any superstitions. However, I do have a pre-game routine, if you will.
What's that?
I just try to move around. Some people like to exercise.
Yeah.
I don't do that because I sweat a lot, and that I don't want to go on the stage sweaty. That's not a good look at all. But I just try to move around, because what happens especially when you start to get nervous,
Yeah.
one of the worst things I feel that you can do is just sit and wait, because your body, it wants to move. Your body is getting that fight or flight response.
Right.
You want to do something, so you have to start moving. Let your body dictate what it wants to do, and it wants to move. It wants to release all of that built up energy that is building up. So I move around, I direct invisible choirs.
Really?
Yeah, I'll put in my AirPods and I'll listen to music and I'll just start directing. And people who are just watching me, what is he doing? I don't understand what he's doing at all. But it's something that really helps me release that energy in a way that will help me appease some of the anxiety that's building up inside of me.
All right. Mga kauban, please don't go away. When we come back, let's discuss how public speaking can help you excel in life. AnDiscoveries will be right back. Welcome back to AnDiscoveries on My TV Cebu, still with Sir Aaron. Sir Aaron, can you tell us about how public speaking has helped you excel in life beyond the stage?
Beyond the stage?
Yes, and with your relationships, with family, your community.
It's funny, one young lady came up to me last year and she said, Aaron, since winning the World Championship of Public Speaking, have women just thrown themselves at you? And I told her, let me tell you something. No, not at all.
Really?
However, Toastmasters really has helped me excel in other aspects of my life beyond the stage. I have the confidence to go into a corporate meeting, and I can give a talk without being as fearful as I would have been otherwise, because I have that experience. I know how to handle the anxiety now. I am able to articulate better, so I can find the words that are in my brain and be able to translate them through my mouth without too much interference in between. And all of that experience really helps you to see the world as something that's not as scary, that's not as foreboding, that's not as intimidating. And it really just comes through that repetition. And it's helped me with my interpersonal relationships, because again, I have that ability to articulate a little bit better, because I'm no longer crippled by my shyness or my introversion. I'm able to step into the spotlight, even though I may not want to. I can do it for a little bit so that I can communicate what I need to say. And then I can go back into the background until it's time to be in the spotlight again.
Do you think that in the age of social media, where we're all texting, scrolling in front of the screens, do you think that the art of speaking has become more important, more than ever?
Absolutely. I believe that public speaking has expanded. We used to think of public speaking as something formal, where a person is standing on a stage or standing behind a lectern. That's no longer the definition of public speaking. Public speaking is now media. Public speaking is now on the internet. There are so many different types of ways we can communicate with one another. And we have to learn all of these different modes of communication, all of these different mediums for communication. And it's only going to become more and more important as we advance in technology.
In a few days, or in a few weeks here in the Philippines, we are going to have our midterm elections. So if you could coach a politician on how to become an effective public speaker, what would you advise him or her?
That can be a bit of a tricky question because I am American, and let's not go there. But I feel that when you are in a position of leadership, it's important for you to establish that connection. I would tell those politicians, whoever they may be, really think about the people who you're trying to represent. What is it that connects you with them? What are the stories that you can share that show them, hey, I know about your struggles because I had them too. Let me tell you about some of them and how I overcame them. And this is how I believe I can help you. It's always about what you can give to your audience. Your message should never be about you. Again, you don't want to just portray yourself as the hero, as the superior person that's above all. You really want to show people that, hey, I've learned some lessons. I think I can help you, and this is how I believe I can help you.
Tell us about the highlights of the upcoming national conference happening here in Cebu for Toastmasters.
So yes, all around the world, Toastmasters are preparing for their various conferences where they talk about public speaking, they talk about leadership. This is something that happens every year, and you get to learn about all of the different techniques of public speaking. You get to learn about all of the different techniques in leadership. You get to hear from leaders who are running for various positions. And you always will get that message of how can I improve myself through the art of public speaking. So I will be the keynote speaker for District 75 Toastmasters, and I don't want to give away my speech. If you really do want to attend, make sure that you do. We can make sure that you have that information. But what we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about stories. We're going to talk about how you can use those stories to help improve and the lessons that you can get from competitions like the Toastmasters International Speech Contest.
Exciting. Before we end, I hope you don't mind, we have a set of rapid fire questions, just very briefly. First question, what for you is the most overused public speaking phrase?
Ladies and gentlemen.
Uy, guilty ko! If you could give one free mic to someone right now, someone that the world needs to hear, who would it be?
Wow. Barack Obama.
A public speaker you have always idolized.
Barack Obama.
Wow. Funniest advice you've ever been given in public speaking?
Before you go on stage, just smile. And you will just be backstage and just smiling, and people will think that's really weird, but what you're doing is stretching your face.
Really? When you walk off stage after a great speech, what's your post-show celebration move? Like, what do you usually do? Breathe in, breathe out. Thank you very much for joining us, Aaron. Your final tips for our viewers?
My final tip, just get up and try to speak. Again, public speaking is something that is very important. It's simple because all you have to do is get up and speak, but it's not easy. It's going to take time, it's going to take repetition, but if you keep going at it time and time again, you'll be a world champion of public speaking yourself one day.
Thank you so much. It has been such an honor to have you here in the show. There you have it, friends, mga kauban, Mr. Aaron Beverly sharing with us that the best speakers don't just move crowds, but they move hearts. This has been Andi for AnDiscoveries.